Everil Stories Present.
The Other in the Mirror, Chapter 1, Silver and Silence. When Billie opened the door to the Argentum apartment, the air hit her with the smell of dust and something old, like time itself had stopped inside. The place looked huge and empty, like a body that had lost its soul. Once it must have been beautiful. Now it just felt tired. The high ceilings and big windows let in a bit of pale September light, enough to show the cracks in the walls and the dust floating in the air. The real estate agent had called it a place with character. Billie had called it a place with a ghost. But that was fine with her. She wanted quiet. A place where no one knew her and where her past couldn't follow. Billie worked as an archivist. She made a living fixing other people's pasts, old letters, torn pages, forgotten stories. While she carefully put their memories back together, her own life felt like it was falling apart. She could still hear her ex-boyfriend, Mark, in her head. "You live in memories, Billie. Not in the present." Maybe he was right. That's why she came here. A new city, a new apartment, a chance to start over. At least, that's what she told herself. She didn't have much with her. Just a few boxes of books, a bed, some clothes, and her tools for work. They looked small and out of place in the wide, empty apartment. In the middle of the living room, something caught her eye. She could have sworn it hadn't been there when she moved in. Probably left behind by whoever lived here before. It was a mirror. A massive antique mirror with an ebony frame carved with silver vines. It almost reached the ceiling and showed half the room in its reflection. The glass was spotless, too clean for something that old. Billie stepped closer. She saw her tired face, the dark circles under her eyes, her messy chestnut hair. But her reflection felt strange, like it wasn't right on the surface, but hanging a few inches behind the glass, quiet and distant. That night, lying in her new bed for the first time, Billie listened to the sounds of the building, the creak of old wood stretching, the soft rush of water in the pipes, the faint footsteps from upstairs. All normal sounds, the sounds of a place that was still alive. But then there was something else. A tiny click, so soft she almost missed it. It came from the living room, like someone tapping on the glass with their fingernail. Billie sat up in bed, holding her breath. The sound stopped. All she could hear was her own heartbeat and the silence pressing against the walls. "It's just the building," she whispered. "You're just tired." But sleep was gone. She got up and walked into the living room. Moonlight spilled through the windows, leaving a pale patch on the mirror's surface. Everything looked still. Too still. Billie stepped closer. Her eyes had adjusted to the dark now. For a second, she thought she saw something move. Behind her reflection, somewhere in that dim space, the mirror showed, like a shadow shifting. She turned around fast. The room was empty. She looked into the mirror again. Her reflection stared back, but something about it felt. For a split second, Billie saw her reflection's Chapter 2. Cracks. The next few weeks slipped into a quiet routine. Billie went to work during the day and came home to the same still apartment each night. She'd thought about getting rid of the mirror, but it was too heavy and somehow it already felt like part of the room. She tried to ignore it. Once she even thought about covering it, but that would have felt like admitting she was afraid. So she didn't. But the mirror did not ignore him. It watched. It remembered. And sometimes, when Billie wasn't looking, it breathed. The oddities started small. While making her morning coffee, she'd noticed something strange in the mirror. The book on the kitchen table looked closed in the reflection, but when she turned around, it was open. Another time, walking past the mirror, she saw her hair tied differently for just a second. When she stopped to look again, everything was back to normal. Little things. Tricks of the mind, she told herself. Her brain probably tired, short-circuiting for a moment. That's all it was. At least that's what she tried to believe. She called her sister Clara. Clara was everything Billie wasn't. Practical, grounded. A lawyer who always had a logical answer for everything. New place, new stress, Clara said over the phone. And after Mark, well, it's normal to feel off. Maybe talk to someone. A therapist, maybe. I'm not crazy, Clara. No one said you were, Clara replied gently. But you're alone. Your mind could be playing tricks on you. That mirror's probably old and warped. It's just catching the light weirdly, Billie kept repeating Clara's words in her head. The mirror was old. She was just tired, just lonely. But the night it happened, logic didn't matter anymore. She was working late, going over a manuscript. When her eyes started to ache, she pushed the chair back and went into the living room for a break. She stopped in front of the mirror and yawned. Her reflection yawned with her. But when Billie lowered her arms, the reflection didn't. The Billie in the mirror kept her arms raised for a moment longer, frozen in mid-yawn, a strange, tense smile spreading across her face, a smile Billie would never make. Then, just like a skipped frame in a film, everything snapped back to normal. Billie's blood ran cold. This wasn't a trick of the light. It was a split-second delay. A perfect, impossible glitch that broke the rules of reality. She took a step back, her heart thudding against her throat. But but she couldn't look away. Her reflection stared back at her, innocent, frightened, mirroring her fear. But Billie knew she had seen it. Whatever that thing was, it wasn't pretending anymore. It was playing with her. After that night, Billie couldn't shake the feeling that she wasn't alone in the apartment. Every small noise made her flinch. The creak of a floorboard, the hum of the pipes, even the whisper of the wind outside. She started glancing over her shoulder without realizing it, expecting to see someone or something standing there. She stopped sleeping in the living room altogether. The mirror stayed behind the closed door, but at night, she could still hear it. Faint, deliberate sounds that broke the silence. Click, click, click. Slow, patient. Like something inside the glass was waiting or trying to come out. Sekizinchi Kusum, Billie became obsessed with the mirror and with the apartment's past. She spent hours digging through old records, asking questions that no one seemed able to answer. Finally, she went to the building manager. Ilara Vance, the old man said after a pause. Strange woman. A painter. Kept to herself mostly. One day she just packed up and left. No goodbye, no notice. Left a few pieces of furniture behind. He hesitated, his gaze drifting for a moment. That mirror was one of them. Dokuzunku Kusum, Billie's instincts as an archivist, took over. She started searching for Ilara Vance online, digging through old articles and forgotten exhibition pages. There wasn't much to find, just a few local gallery mentions and one faded article that described Ilara as an artist known for her disturbingly realistic self-portraits. Self-portraits. A cold knot formed in Billie's stomach. Ilara must have spent hours,